So hello and welcome to Conversations with Esther today. Kindly, Sandra, Sharon. Thank you. Welcome to Conversations with Esther today, the 16th of July. Today we continue with part 2 of the session. Allow me to just go on, just do an intro, and then I'll give this to the guest who is in the room already. Just to maybe make it clear on one or two things. So welcome back to Fireside Chats. This is Conversations with Esther. Conversations with Esther is an impact-driven professional platform that informs you, educates you, and rebuilds your mindsets on matters work, organizational culture, and holistic wellness. We ignite ethical and authentic leadership, promoting best practice within industries. Conversations with Esther equips the workplace with relevant legal, human resource, and holistic wellness skills through training, motivational talks, end-to-end HR consultancy support and mentorship programs, now guided by our 3 values: integrity, excellence, and impact. Conversations with Esther envisions a workplace transformed by professional conversations and respectable relationships with also intentional leadership. We focus on the holistic wellness, and we say self-care is not selfish. We encourage that you carry this on every day, that when you take care of yourself, don't feel like you're being selfish. Learn to take care of yourself without feeling guilty. Take care of your physical wellness, mental wellness, financial wellness, social, spiritual, environmental, and intellectual. That's our calendar for the year. We are on 26th of July event that is upcoming. We have a hike at the Ngong Hills. I know our admin will keep sharing more information on this. We've already done the others. August, we'll go into facing our fears. We'll share the information. Movie and bowling in September, mental health awareness event in October, and dinner and awards of wellness champions in November. So get ready, register for the hike on the 26th of July. Salome, kindly mute. So get ready for the hike upcoming. We will give you more information as we go on. Keep your eyes on the chat as we go on. So those are some photos of the events that we have. We do wellness walks, we do conversations, and yes, that's the poster for Ngong Hills. So we will give you more information as we go on. Today we continue with ours. Please mute. We continue with the 5-week group therapy program on coping with loss and grief, which began last week, Wednesday, 9th of July. We have that same today, 23rd. We have the next session. We are doing the 5 stages of grief. So last week we did denial. Today, the psychologist will take us through anger. Then we will go to 23rd with a different stage, 30th of July as well, and we finish on 6th of August. And I've been receiving a lot of calls and messages asking how much we charge. Please tell your relatives and friends and colleagues at work it's absolutely free. We are not charging. So the journey of loss and grief is personal, as we said, can be emotionally draining and sometimes devastating. There's no right or wrong way to mourn the loss of a loved one, a job, or a much anticipated opportunity. Today we have on board a seasoned psychologist, Maureen from Chiromo, to walk us through the process and equip us with the necessary skills for ourselves and to support others. Maureen is a compassionate and highly skilled wellness and clinical psychologist dedicated to guiding individuals and organizations towards emotional and psychological well-being. With a deep expertise in corporate wellness, anxiety, depression, trauma recovery, workplace stress, and debriefing, she collaborates with individuals, families, and corporate teams to cultivate resilience and achieve mental clarity. Now, by empowering individuals to understand and unlock their full potential, she helps them build a life of balance and purpose. Holding a bachelor's in psychology and an advanced diploma in applied mental health practice from Amref International University, Maureen combines knowledge with a profound commitment to making a meaningful impact on the lives of those she serves. So, allow me to pray as we kick off and as Maureen comes live. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you as we begin this session. We ask that you will guide us and lead us, and that you will walk us through this journey of coping with loss and grief. It's not easy, but by your grace, it's possible. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Karibu sana, Maureen. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to welcome everyone back. Welcome back to today's session. Thank you for being here. And last session, we were talking about stages of grief, where we started with stage 1, which was denial. Today, we are going deeper into the stages. This is a topic we never talk about. And when we are talking about, loss and grief, normally we associate loss and grief with sadness, with low moods, with being down, but we don't talk about the phase where someone is angry. You're angry at yourself, you're angry at other people, you're angry at God. We don't talk about how impactful this emotion can be, because normally it is actually the loudest phase of loss and grief. We assume it's sadness or depression or any other stage and just choose to ignore stage 2. Remember when we mentioned the stages of grief, there are 5: denial, this is stage 2, anger, and there is no particular hierarchy of the stages. At times you can feel angry, you can still be in denial, you can still be in stage 3, 4, or 5 at the same time. We are all different when it comes to loss and grief, but let's dig more on what happens when someone is in stage 2, that is anger. So normally, anger is very misunderstood. As I said, we tend to focus so much on the other aspects of grief and ignore anger, because it's an emotion that we have, especially when we are going through any type of loss, be it loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of an object. You feel angry, and it's okay to feel angry. That anger is actually very valid. At times we can feel shameful about, why am I feeling angry? Or we can think it's irrational or it's not right to feel angry, especially if in case where you lost a loved one due to an illness. At times we can get angry at the doctors at the hospital. We can get angry at God. We can get angry at actually the loved one we lost. Like, why are you actually doing this to me now? Why now? Why are you choosing to leave me alone? Or why are you choosing to leave me in this state? We can be angry at the doctors. Why didn't you try every single thing to make sure I don't lose my loved one? You can be angry at yourself. Is there something I didn't do enough? Is there something I would have done better? You blame yourself for this happening. And your mind will have so many questions. Why did this happen? God, where were you when this was happening? I've had so many people get so angry, at God, because in church we are taught about how God is omnipresent, He's everywhere, He's listening to our prayers. But when we are going through loss, at times we can feel like the God that we are praying to, we are serving, was not there for us. And it's an okay feeling to have. It is very valid. These are some of the questions that we might never get the answers to. And that's okay. It's particularly okay to go through this stage of grief, anger. So what does anger represent? This anger that we are feeling in grief, what does it represent? Because normally, as I said, grief is a reaction to the actual loss that we are going through. So it can represent the fear, if it's the loss of a loved one. We can have fear on how do I go about my life past this? What do I do without this person? Remember, I mentioned when we are in this stage of anger, we could feel a lot of guilt. Is there something I could have done better to prevent this? Now, since this is something that we have zero or complete we have zero control over, there's nothing we would have done in this situation, you can feel helpless. I am angry because, there's nothing I would have done. I feel like I am powerless. I am helpless in this situation. And of course, you get angry because you're in deep pain. Remember, loss and grief is not an easy journey. You undergo so many emotions at the same time. And deep pain is one of them, because this is actually losing a loved one, losing a job, losing an object, be it a phone, a car, piece of land. That is also deep pain. Because underneath all this anger, there is something inside. Anger is like the cover of what we are actually feeling. We portray anger, yet inside we are suffering. We are feeling guilty. We are feeling helpless and powerless. We're having a lot of fear of how to go about life past this. So anger now is how our mind chooses to protect or cover these actual emotions we are feeling. So it'll protect those parts that feel scared, broken due to the pain we are going through, the parts that feel lost. Where do I go from here? Remember, anger is an emotion that we misunderstand. Anger is not a bad emotion. Most people think that people should not get angry, or angry is not a good emotion like happiness or joy or peace. But it's actually an emotion that should be felt. It's an expression of, not being okay with something happening. And in this process of loss and grief, feeling this anger and saying that I'm actually going through stage 2, I'm actually angry at myself, I am angry at everyone else around me, I'm angry at God, I'm angry at the doctors, I'm angry at the system. It's part of the healing journey or the healing process. Anger is something that will keep reminding you of what you've lost. Be it your loved one, be it the object, be it your job, anything. So instead, we should not be fearing expressing this emotion, but rather embracing it, because it's part of healing. You need to feel angry. And it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to say that this situation hurt me. It's okay to say that I am angry at this and this person. I am angry at the system. It's okay to name that feeling. because anger is not the enemy. It's a passage through this journey of grief. It's a stage that we need to embrace and feel. Allow yourself to feel angry. You know, when you feel angry, it reminds you that you actually cared about this person you've lost, or you actually cared about this job you've lost, this object you lost. It reminds you that this person, this thing mattered to me. Losing this has actually hurt me. And that's okay. That's part of the process. Remember, we said last week, there's no guideline to grieving. There's no shortcut to grieving. Yes, you might bottle up these emotions, but at one point, they will all erupt. Sorry. They will all come up. And at that time where they are coming up, it might not be in such a good way. So when we are going through this process of grief, let us embrace every single stage that we'll talk about. It's okay to be in stage 1 of denial. It's okay to feel angry. It's part of the process. You know, they keep telling us, trust the process. So even in this journey of grief, trust the process. Anger is part of that process. So how is this anger expressed? How do I know that I'm actually in stage 2 of anger? This goes back to how well do you know yourself as a person? How do you react to anger? You know, what are some of the things that you do when you're angry? Because anger manifests differently in different people. There are people, when they're angry, they will be breaking everything. You know, they will be shouting. They will get irritable easily, even on the slightest things. Every single thing, they will be blaming other people. There are other people, when they're angry, they speak to no one. Everyone around them will be getting the silent treatment. There are other people, when they're angry, you have physical symptoms. You know, you feel like your ears are hot. You feel like your cheeks are burning. You're having headaches. You feel like there's a lot of tension in your body. And there are other people, when they're angry, they now withdraw. They don't want to be around people. They don't want to receive phone calls. They don't want to respond to messages. They just want to be in their own bubble by themselves. And there are other people, when they're angry, they will be seeing every single mistake in, you know, the people that are in their circle or the people around them. Every slightest thing, you make it a mountain rather than it being an anthill. The other people, when they're angry, they tend to project it on other people. If it's people who are trying to support you through this journey of grief, they get the other side of the iron rod. You'll be shouting at them, you'll be irritated by them, but that's just anger, and it's okay. It's okay. So even when you're going through this journey, get to learn yourself. How do I react to anger? How have I been dealing with stage 2 in my grieving process? What have I been doing? Because remember, grief is different from everybody. There are other people who will be passive aggressive, you know? So now that we've said anger is not a bad emotion, anger is okay to feel. Anger is a good emotion, it's part of the process. So how do we cope with it in a positive way? Because if we don't deal with it in a healthy way, it might end up harming every other single person around us. So imagine if you're angry and you're shouting at everyone, everyone will be withdrawing from you instead of you withdrawing from them. If you're blaming every single person for everything, even in this journey, no one will want to be around you. So how do I cope with it in a positive way? How do I deal with it? Just like any other emotion, anger needs a let out. Anger needs a positive let out. At times we would think that anger just manifests when someone is shouting or when someone is enraged. But anger could be expressed in so many ways, as we've seen. Just by you avoiding or withdrawing, it could be a manifestation of stage 2 anger. Just by you choosing not to talk to every single person around you, it could be a manifestation of anger. So anger needs a way out. It needs a let out so that you're not harming yourself and the people around you in this process. First of all, even before we are dealing with anger in a healthy way, we need to accept that I'm actually angry. And I'm angry because of 1, 2, 3. Don't hide from the anger. It needs a safe space to go. So what do you do? Remember again, every single person is different. So how do you channel it as a person in a healthy way that is working for you? Some people might enjoy journaling in this, loss and grief journey, writing about their emotions, writing about their thoughts. Remember, even in these ways of processing anger or coping with anger, it is not a one shoe fits all. There are some people, when it comes to journaling, that does not work for them, and that's okay because we are different. So if you're not into journaling, talk to someone who you trust. Talk about these feelings you're having. Even if you're angry at them, talk about it. A problem shared is half solved. Talk to your friends who are supporting you through this journey of grief. Talk to your family. Talk to other people also going through the same journey as you are. Because as much as the people around you will tell you how, they understand what you're going through, yet they don't. There are those who are in the journey with you. They get what you're Monica, please mute. So if it's not journaling, it's not talking to someone you trust, exercise is a good way. Exercise is a good way. Taking a walk, being in the sun, being outside, being in nature, going for the hike with Esther. It's a very good way to let out these emotions we're talking about. Remember the psychology about exercise and mental health. Normally when you're exercising, it produces the feel-good hormone. So as much as you might not feel happy or you might not feel joy, you will feel better than you were feeling before. Because now the hormones associated with sadness or stress have been reduced because the feel-good hormones have increased. So try movement. If you like dancing, dance alone. If you like walking, take a walk. There are people who will punch a pillow. There are people who will go and scream outside, let this anger out. There are people who will listen to music. If it works for you, do that. If you feel at peace when you're doing music or listening to music or drawing or coloring, I actually find coloring very therapeutic. Spirituality is something, being in touch with that inner version of you. So if it's through prayer, if it's through going to church, if it's through the church community, it helps. And lastly, therapy, grief counseling, a safe space where you're actually able to express these feelings of anger. So try and identify what works for me and roll with that. It doesn't have to be journaling. It can be one of the others. It doesn't have to be talking to someone. It can be through exercise. It can be through art, music, whatever works for you. There are other people who even cook when they're having overwhelming emotions. So find what works for you as a person. But now, when we're not able to deal with this anger in a good way, it now becomes harmful, not only to us, but to people around us. Because now, no one wants to be around you. You tend to be isolated. It can even really hurt other people's feelings or physically hurt someone. So if anger gets very heavy to carry by yourself, that is not a sign of weakness. It's okay to get support, because otherwise we get maladaptive coping mechanisms. You start going to drinking, you start going to smoking or any other substance use. You start having emotional outbursts here and there. And long term, your heart becomes very bitter. You are isolated because the relationships you had were weakened during this stressful time. And over time, you always be an angry person. You have a lot of aggression inside. I don't know if you've met, there are people who every time they're constantly angry about something. They are filled with a lot of aggression and bitterness. Maybe because there are some feelings that went unresolved. And at times we might even feel this anger because when we lost, for example, a loved one, you might have, unfinished business with this person. Let's say maybe the last thing you told them or the last conversation you had with them is not really particularly the conversation you would have wished to have. Or in the time you lost this person, you are not in good terms. So not only are you angry at yourself for that, you're angry at them too. And that's okay. But there are other ways to deal with this unfinished business in a healthy way. So please let this anger out. Let it out. So I want us to do a very small reflection exercise. I want you to reflect inwards in this journey you've been on loss and grief. Who are you angry at? Or what are you angry at? Is it yourself? Is it the people around you? Is it the doctors? Is it the system in the country? Is it God? Who or what are you really angry at? Naming these feelings is stage one of dealing with anger. Accepting that I'm actually angry at this person or this thing or God or myself. So after you've identified who or what you're angry at, if you had a chance, what would you say to that person? Let's say yourself, let's say loved one you lost, be it the doctors, be it God, without feeling any guilt or shame, what would you tell them in that state of anger? What this does, it helps you just identify the people or the things you are angry at so you can deal with it. Remember, even in stage 2, it needs a lot of self-awareness, self-reflection, and introspection. You need to be very aware of yourself so that you're able to cope with this emotion called anger. So please answer those 2 questions. Who or what are you angry at? And if you have the opportunity to face these people or yourself or God, what would you say in that moment? Because at the end of the day, this feeling that we call anger, it is not the end of the grief journey. It is not the end of the journey. It is just a step along the way. It is stage 2. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to change it. You just need to embrace it. It is not a bad emotion. It's just that we cope with it in the wrong ways. Or we let it out or vent it out in the wrong ways. So embrace this emotion. And of course, beyond all this pain that we are feeling, beyond all this anger that we are feeling, beyond all this guilt that we are feeling, there is hope at the end of this journey. Every single thing in this journey is a step moving forward. Even when you feel it's not right to be angry, it's okay to have this emotion called anger, especially during this time of loss and grief. So don't try to fix it, don't try to change it. Accept that it's happening, embrace it, and let it out in a healthy way. So as we are going through this process of grief, acknowledge that you are in pain, acknowledge that you are angry. Accept that this grieving journey or this grieving process will trigger a lot of unexpected emotions or a lot of unexpected feelings. Remember, it is not a straight path. It is not a linear path. There will be ups and downs. Last session, I remember associating this journey of grief with a roller coaster. It will have its ups, it will have its downs. Same with anger. Understand, even if you are around people who are going through the same thing or the same journey, you are not the same. And you will not grieve the same. You will not feel anger in the same amount or in the same quantity or to the same degree. You are different. Your grieving journeys are different. Your anger levels will be different. The way anger will be manifested will be different. And that's okay. And if it gets too heavy, it's okay to seek support from people who actually care for you or are with you or are standing by you through this journey of grief. And of course, you need to be there for yourself. You need to show up for yourself by taking care of yourself. We're talking about exercise, walking, going for a hike. That is self-care. It is very essential in this journey. It is very important in this journey. And of course, there's something we call mindfulness. We can never change what has happened. We can never change this situation we are in. We can never change that we are on this journey. And also, We don't know what will happen in the future, but we can choose to stay in the present. That is mindfulness, staying in the present. And of course, social support is very important, extremely important. So as we are going through anger or stage 2 of loss and grief, first step is to acknowledge that you're angry. Once you've done that, you can deal with it in healthy ways or healthy coping mechanisms. So lastly, these are just a few tips to take care of yourself during this loss and grief journey. Remember, it is not a one shoe fits all. We are all different. Do what works for you. If it's deep breathing, if it's stretching, if it's taking a walk, if it's journaling or putting things on paper, if it's, doing a social media detox or staying away from, online platforms, do that. Do what is best for you during this time. If it's crying or letting out these feelings inside, do that. Don't bottle them down. Let them out. Just picture your mind is, a balloon. The more we put into the balloon, at one point, it will burst. So all these feelings of pain, of anger, they need to be let out. They need to be let out. So please take care of yourself. In this journey of grief, please take care of yourself. I know it is not easy. It is so easy to get lost in this process, but take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. I don't know if there are questions on the chat box that we can take time to answer.
Yes, you can possibly just go through the chat, Maureen.
Someone has shared that there are times they feel angry that they were not able to say goodbye to their loved one because he was in hospital. And they don't allow anyone in there, especially in the ICU. They say she also feels angry at the doctors, which is okay to feel, for the delay in taking him to the ICU. So when it comes to anger, I like what she has said. At times we feel angry because we didn't get to say a proper goodbye to this person. Their loss was abrupt. We didn't get to prepare. We didn't get to be psychologically ready for that. And it's okay to feel angry. It is part of the process. What I normally tell a lot of people, especially when you're feeling there was a gap, you didn't get to say what you wanted to say to your loved one. Try this. There's something we call an empty chair technique. So in the comfort of your home, when you're alone, when you're ready to feel these feelings, because it will be very uncomfortable. So in your house where you're seated, I am sure there's an empty seat somewhere. So I want you to face that empty seat and actually address that seat as if you are addressing the loved one you lost. Tell them everything you wanted to tell them at that time. Let it out. If that's too hard, try writing it down in form of a letter. tell them everything you wanted to say. Because as we are doing that, we are expressing the feelings we are having or this anger that we are having, but in a healthy way. So it's okay to feel angry at yourself. It's okay to feel angry at those doctors. It is part of the healing journey. So don't get scared, but embrace these feelings and let them out in a healthy way. Someone has asked, what is the best way to question God for allowing too much pain in you? Joyce, I am so sorry for experiencing whichever experiencing that you have at this particular moment. But there is no best way to ask these questions. But even having these questions is part of the healing journey. You know, if you're not questioning a lot of things, especially in this time of loss and grief, I would be scared. So if you are, it's okay. It is part of the process. You might not get the questions answered, but it's okay to have them. So there's no best way to ask these questions. But it's okay to ask them or even think about these questions in your mind. You're human at the end of the day. Someone has shared they feel angry with God for not healing their mom. I am so sorry, Grace, for that experience. And it's okay to feel angry. Remember, as I've said, it is part of the healing journey. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it. Don't try to fix it. Feel angry. It is part of the healing journey. You're human. You're allowed to have these emotions. You're allowed to have this anger towards the doctors, towards God, towards yourself, towards the hospital. It's okay to feel angry. Someone is saying they're angry at the doctors took time to operate on their brother. I am so sorry, Christine, for being on this journey or for going through this experience. My heart goes out to you. It's okay to feel, yes, angry at the doctors. It's okay to feel angry at the hospital. But all in all, yes, it is part of the journey. At times with loss and grief, it's also something that we have zero control over. So yes, we are feeling angry at the doctors. We are feeling angry at the hospital, which is okay to feel. It is part of the process. And this is also an experience that is beyond us, is beyond our control. But as we go through this journey or this process of grieving, it gets better day by day, one day at a time. So try and express this anger in a healthy way. Do not suppress it. Joyce is asking, how do you deal with anger you carry towards God? Remember, yes, we've said it's okay to feel angry at God. It's okay to feel angry at yourself, the hospital, the doctors. So when it comes to feeling angry at God, this is something that, as much as we may ask God these many questions we have in our mind, you know, why me? Why did you let this happen? Why this experience? Why am I going through this much pain? Why am I going through this series of losses in my life? These are answers that you might never get answered, or these are questions you might never get the answers to. But actually, talking to him about this anger you're feeling is also okay. Pray about it. Tell him that you're angry about this and this happening. Talk to him about all these questions you have in your mind. Talk to him about all these feelings of anger or frustration you have. Tell him about it. Pray about it. Or also, if you have a trusted, spiritual advisor, do that. I've seen so many times when people are going through this journey of loss and grief, people run away from God, they run away from the church or the spiritual community because, they're having this anger. But we are not really solving it. We are running away from it. We are avoiding it. So deal with it by talking about it. Talk to him about it. Talk to people in the church or your church community about it, because it's an okay feeling to have. Even with me in my personal experience, there's something I lost way back, and I had so much anger towards God. I remember for a period of time, I stopped going to church. I stopped, reading the Bible. I stopped praying because I thought, if he would let this happen, is he really there? And those are okay questions to have. But through that process, I got to understand I am not really dealing with these questions or these feelings I'm having. I'm avoiding the situation. So I went back to where it all started. So talk to God about it. Talk to your church community about these feelings. Someone has also said there are times they feel angry at God for allowing their husband to die when they needed him most. I am so sorry for that experience. I am so sorry you're going through this grieving journey. It is okay to feel angry. It is part of the healing journey. So don't avoid it, feel it, and cope with it in a healthy way. So if it means talking to him about it, talking to friends about this anger you're feeling, talking to the close people around you, do that. Do what works for you in this journey of loss and grief. But it is okay to feel angry. Perfectly okay. Someone has shared it. Please share the slides or the recording of the slides. That will be, I don't know if they'll get that. I will ask Esther about it. How do you handle anger to self? This is very important, especially when we are going through loss of a loved one, for example. So we might feel angry towards ourselves, maybe because the last conversation I had with this person was not very nice. I was not in the best terms with the one I've lost. I was not in an okay place, or I dealt with things in a bad way. I would have done better. Is there something I would have done different to prevent this situation? And it's okay to feel angry at yourself, but give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Trust me, in this journey of loss and grief, you're doing the best you can in your grieving journey. So give yourself grace and forgive yourself. At times we are so hurtful towards ourselves, yet if we were to take back time, maybe because there are things we didn't know then, we might not have done things differently. So be kinder to yourself, show yourself more grace, and forgive yourself. As much as it's okay to feel angry at yourself, but you're doing the best you can at this particular moment. So show yourself a little compassion. Is it okay to feel numb? And how long is too long? Feeling numb can be caused by a lot of things. It can be caused by someone experiencing multiple losses over time, where it got to a point where they are used to these feelings, so they just feel numb. It could be caused by other things happening in our life at that particular time. But normally, feeling numb is just our mind's way of protecting yourself from the emotions that may arise during this grieving journey or due to this loss we are feeling. So what we need to understand is why we are feeling numb. How long is too long? There is no timeline to grieve. Remember, also feeling numb is part of being in stage 1 of denial. So I can't say that it will take 3 months, it will take 6 months. Everyone's journey is different. But the thing we need to understand is why the numbness is happening or why you're feeling that way. How do you deal with not having forgiven the one you lost and you feel guilty? Normally, when it comes to if you are not in good terms with the one you lost or the loved one you lost, that's what we call having unfinished business. There are things that are not finished between you and the person you lost. So there are so many techniques to deal with that. Normally, is to express what they did and how it hurt you and why you're still holding on to, this pain that they caused when they were alive. So you can write it in form of a letter addressing them, making them, quote unquote, understand how you're feeling and why you're still in pain for their actions. But also when it comes to forgiveness, please remember, you don't forgive for the sake of the wrongdoer. You forgive for yourself. Never do you forgive for the person who wronged you. It's not like you're doing them a favor. You're forgiving for yourself. It is actually part of self-care. Because we, or the people who have been wronged, you're the ones carrying this pain, this bitterness, these feelings for a very long time. They are within you. They are not within the one who wronged you. So normally, you forgive for yourself. You forgive to let go and be free of this pain you're feeling. I don't know if we can arrange. Someone is also asking if they can have access to the slides. Someone has said they lost a sister a month ago. I am so sorry for that experience. And yet I feel like I'm mourning. I feel normal, even though I spent the last moments with her in ICU and the doctors prepared us. Okay. So when it comes to this, it's not necessarily you're in denial. It is something we call anticipatory grief. So what that means, you had some time to anticipate the loss of your sister. You had some time to actually mentally prepare or the loss of your sister. So it's not that you're not mourning or anything, it's just that you're doing it in a different way. So it's not really denial, but give yourself some time. Yes, you anticipated it. You could also feel, anger. You could also feel or have, how do I put it? You could also be in the other stages we are to talk about. Could be you're already in stage 3, or you're in stage 4, or also you've gotten to stage 5. Remember, when you have anticipatory grief, since it didn't come all of a sudden, your mind got some time to actually prepare itself for this happening. So it could be you could be further down the stages. So it's not necessarily you're still stuck in denial. Someone is saying they are a leader in church and they're concerned on how to help a member who does not want people to visit. Okay, when it comes to that, remember, this is something that the one who's going through loss and grief actually wants. So instead of pushing it, actually respect the fact that at this particular time, they might not want to have visitors. Could be it's not that they're withdrawing or anything, it's just that they need some time to process their grief, some time to deal with it as a family. I've seen so many families when going through loss and grief, they ask for, some privacy to just be as a family and go through this process together. So don't necessarily really push this subject on visiting. Just give them some time and ask them when they're ready to have visitors, then you can go and visit. But don't push it. Maybe that's what that person needs at that particular time. So it's okay to allow them that leeway or have that space. But also keep checking in on them, see how they're doing along this journey. Elaborate on the points that we should stay in the present while grieving, and also elaborate on developing new rituals. Okay. Normally, when we are staying in the present, it doesn't mean that you're ignoring the current situation, but you've gotten to a point where you've accepted this is actually something that is happening. This is something that is beyond me. This is something that I have zero control over. These are the feelings I am having, and not really focusing on what I would have done or the things I would have changed, but being in the present moment. So if you are angry at this particular time, be present in it. Allow yourself to feel angry. Allow yourself to go through stage 3 of bargaining. Allow yourself to be in the present in the grieving journey. Don't think about the future to come. Don't think about what has happened. Be in the moment. Developing new rituals. As well, you can say you will do this activity to or in memory of, the loved one you've lost, just as a way of, remembering them or commemorating them. You can say that every single month or during the anniversary of the day I lost them, this is an activity I will be doing just to remind myself of my loved one. It can be anything. It can be going for a nature walk. It can be, doing a candle lighting. It can be doing a letter to that person, whichever ritual you want to have. but it's just to you commemorate the loved one you lost and also help you, create new memories to commemorate your loved one. Yeah, there's someone who's also agreed. They also didn't like visitors at the time they were grieving. So if the person has said that they would want some privacy, just be patient, respect. That is what they want as of now. When they are ready for visitors, they will have visitors. So just allow them to be in that moment and go through their grieving journey the way they want to at that particular time. Mm. How does one deal with that type of anger and relate with those who were never there? Do you mean the type of anger where maybe the people who were not there during this journey of grief? I don't understand that question. So is it anger towards the people who are not there to support you? Mm, someone is also saying that they are the kind of person who is there for their close friends and helping them, but when they need a hand, they go away and stop talking to me. Now, in that case, when we are going through difficult moments in our lives, that is actually when we get to understand the people around us. That's when we get to understand who is actually there for you, not only in times of joy, but also during the tough times. So if you're going through it and the people around you, you've been there for them, are now going away or stopped talking to you, that should tell you something. Could be they were not there for the right reasons. Remember, yes. So if those friends were not there to support you, especially in hard times, it really tells you who you have around your space. Because friends are not only there for the good, but they're there to build you up or support you during the tough times. So it's okay to feel angry also at them or disappointed. I don't think there's another question. Last one I've seen, when do triggers disappear, like birthdays, anniversaries? They never really disappear, but they get easier as you go by the journey of grief. You always remember, their birthday, their anniversary. Could be if it was, someone you are married to, you always remember your anniversary. So they don't really disappear, but it gets easier to go through it as time goes by. So just take it a day at a time. Don't pressure yourself. I don't think I've left any other question.
I think there's a last one. the bottom from Hazel.
Oh, from Hazel. Okay, I've seen it. She's shared her mom died a month and a half ago. I didn't want people around me, which was okay. But I feel my dad and sisters or family did not understand this. I went back to my place and locked myself in, but everything went dark. And I didn't, okay. Well, it's okay to not want people around. It's okay to want your own space, but also there is withdrawal. Withdrawal can lead to you going to very dark places. It can lead you to even going to an extent of getting depression. So the time when it got to a point where you are not eating, you are not going out, you find it hard to take care of yourself in terms of, taking a shower, cooking. Now that was you going into a very dark hole. Could be stage 4, which was depression, or which is depression. So it's okay to take a few hours of the day to be in your own space and understand how you're feeling, why you're feeling these feelings, especially during loss and grief. But also, don't avoid people altogether. So you can take a few hours to be in your feelings by yourself, but don't avoid people 24/7. That's dangerous because we need support. We need to be around people just to take our minds off the pain or the grief for just even a few hours, 1 or 2 hours. Someone has asked, is it possible that some friends stay away because they don't know how to deal with a partner? Yes, 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 yes. That is very true. Some people may fear saying the wrong things or doing the wrong things, but also, even in friendship, no matter how hard or tough the situation is, if you're dealing with a friend who's grieving, you don't have to say anything. You just need to be there. Your presence as a friend, your presence as a loved one does so much. Just knowing that, or just them knowing that you are there, goes a long way. And also asking them what they need at that particular time. So you might not have all the answers. You might not know how to deal with your friend or your loved one who's grieving, but just be there. Just be present. It helps. I lost someone 10 years ago. I feel sometimes like it's yesterday. I am so sorry, Martha, for that. But that's just grief. There is no deadline or time limit for grief. It can take 1 year, 10 years, 15 years. And overcoming grief doesn't really mean that you're forgetting the person you lost. It just means now you're able to cope with life easier, not having them around. You're able to deal with that vacuum they left. So you'll not really be able to forget them, but you will deal with life easier with not having them around. So it can take 10, 20, no matter how long it takes, it gets easier as time goes by. Life gets easier to do every single day. Yeah, I think the questions are done. I can give the mic back to Esther. But one thing I'll say, I really appreciate having such spaces. I appreciate that each and every one of you was very open in talking about their feelings. It's step 1 to healing. So you're not alone in this journey. We are here to help the journey get easier. So thank you for being here and for being open. Yeah. One last question. I lost my mother-in-law about 10 years ago and we were genuine friends. I'm worried though about his son. He to date is in denial. How can I help him? Last Wednesday, we were talking about how denial manifests, how long denial takes. There is no deadline or time for denial, but what happens or how you can support someone who is in denial. Allow them to go through their journey of grief, because could be denial is just his mind's way of protecting itself from actually facing all these feelings they're having. Have conversations about, his mom in a good way. Remember, there is what you're saying and how you're saying it. So have conversations about it. See where his mind is at in terms of this grieving journey. Encourage him to talk more about it. And in case if it gets too much, he can always seek help for that. Yeah. So I give the mic back to Esther. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. I think we'll say less, but I see people asking for the recording. We are live on our YouTube channel, Conversations with Esther Katiba. The link is in the chat. Last Wednesday's session is already there. This one is there, and the rest of the sessions will be there, so you can share them and you can keep watching. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for your time. I know next Wednesday we have Faith Thuo, who is also a psychologist that has worked closely also and has worked and still works with Chiromo. So Faith will take us through the remaining sessions. She was in last week, she's in today, but she will take us through the rest of the sessions. Asante sana, thank you. God bless you, everyone, and may the Lord watch over you and continue to heal and restore you. Amen. Bye-bye. Thank you.